Imagine this. You finally decide to invest in a business. You don't choose restaurants. You don't choose real estate. You don't buy a coffee shop. Instead, you open a gym. It sounds like the perfect business. People pay every month. Most of them never cancel. Many rarely even show up. The equipment lasts for years, and every January, thousands of new customers walk through your doors. At first glance, owning a gym looks like one of the easiest ways to build wealth. But here's the question. If gyms are such incredible businesses, why do so many of them disappear within just a few years? Why do independent gym owners constantly struggle with cash flow? And why are the largest fitness companies in the world obsessed with selling memberships instead of helping people work out? To answer those questions, we first need to understand what a gym is really selling. Because surprisingly, it isn't fitness, it isn't exercise, and it certainly isn't six-pack abs. What gyms actually sell is hope. The hope that next Monday will be different. The hope that this year will finally be the year someone changes their life. That emotional promise is what convinces millions of people to sign long-term contracts every year. But hope alone doesn't pay the rent. Behind the mirrors, the music, and the rows of shiny treadmills exists one of the most difficult business models in the service industry. A business with enormous fixed costs, thin profit margins, constant competition, and customers who are incredibly unpredictable. Ironically, the healthiest-looking businesses often have the weakest financial health. And that's where our story begins. There is one statistic that surprises almost everyone. Walk into a typical gym at 6 p.m. on a Monday. It feels packed. Every treadmill is occupied. People are waiting for benches. The parking lot is full. Now imagine something impossible. Every single member decides to come on that same day. From the outside, a gym looks surprisingly simple. A few rows of treadmills, some dumbbells, weight machines, mirrors, music, a reception desk. That's all, right? Not even close. Behind every successful gym, there is an expensive machine constantly burning cash, whether customers walk through the front door or not. The first expense appears long before the first member signs up: location. For a gym, location isn't just important, it's everything. Open too far from residential neighborhoods, people won't drive an extra 20 minutes just to work out. Open inside an expensive shopping district, your rent could destroy your profits before the doors even open. Finding the perfect location is like solving a puzzle. You need visibility, easy parking, high foot traffic, enough ceiling height, strong electrical infrastructure, and thousands of square meters of usable space. Every one of those requirements increases the price. Then comes the equipment. People see shiny treadmills and assume they're cheap. They're not. A commercial treadmill can cost as much as a small family car. High-end strength machines often cost several $1,000s each. Olympic racks, cable stations, plate-loaded machines, spin bikes, rowing machines, functional training equipment. Before the first workout, a medium-sized gym may have already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's only the beginning. Because unlike a television or a dining table, gym equipment is designed to be abused. Thousands of repetitions, heavy impacts, constant vibration, sweat, humidity, dust. Almost every machine requires regular maintenance. Bearings wear out, cables snap, motors fail, belts stretch, padding tears. Ignoring maintenance isn't an option. One broken treadmill can quickly become 10. Members notice. Online reviews appear. New customers stop coming. Maintenance isn't a luxury, it's survival. Then there is electricity. Most people never think about it until they receive the bill. Modern gyms consume enormous amounts of power. Rows of treadmills, dozens of televisions, bright lighting, sound systems, water heaters, ventilation systems, and perhaps the biggest energy consumer of all, air conditioning. Think about it. Hundreds of people exercising inside one building, running, cycling, lifting weights. Body temperatures rise, humidity increases. Without powerful climate control, the gym becomes unbearable. Cooling thousands of square meters every day isn't cheap. Neither is keeping the showers supplied with hot water or running ventilation systems around the clock. Every month, the utility bill arrives, whether business is good or terrible. Then comes payroll. A gym cannot operate itself. Receptionists greet members. Cleaning staff sanitize equipment. Maintenance technicians repair machines. Managers oversee operations. Group instructors teach classes. Personal trainers attract new clients. Security staff monitor the facility. Every hour the gym is open, someone is getting paid. Many premium gyms operate from early morning until late at night. Some never close at all. 24-hour access sounds attractive to customers, but every additional hour means more wages, more electricity, more security, more maintenance. Convenience has a price, and someone has to pay for it. Insurance is another hidden expense. People lift heavy weights, run at high speeds, use complicated equipment. Accidents happen. A single serious injury can lead to lawsuits worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Liability insurance isn't optional, it's essential. Then there are the invisible costs: software subscriptions, member management systems, access control technology, payment processing fees, marketing campaigns, website maintenance, social media advertising, cleaning supplies, towels, soap, locker maintenance, music licensing, internet services. None of these costs seem significant on their own. Together, they become overwhelming. This is why gym owners rarely celebrate after signing a new lease, because from that moment forward, the clock starts ticking. Every day the doors remain open, money flows out, even before it starts flowing in. That's the brutal reality of fixed costs. They don't care whether it's Monday morning or Christmas Day, whether 50 people visit or 500. Many of the bills remain exactly the same. This creates enormous pressure. Every empty treadmill represents lost revenue. Every unused square meter still generates rent. Every hour without new members makes profitability slightly harder to reach. And this is exactly why so many gym owners become obsessed with growth, not because they are greedy, but because standing still often means falling behind. Still, even after paying rent, buying equipment, hiring staff, and keeping the lights on, most gyms face one final challenge, a challenge that determines whether they survive or quietly disappear: competition. And in today's fitness industry, competition has never been more brutal. Imagine opening a brand new gym. The equipment is spotless, the lighting is perfect, everything smells new. You believe people will naturally choose your business. Then, a giant chain opens just 5 minutes away. They offer memberships for half your price. At first, it seems impossible. How can they charge so little? Are they losing money? The answer is usually no. They're playing a completely different game. This is one of the biggest misconceptions in the fitness industry. Not all gyms are trying to attract the same customers. Some compete on luxury, others compete on convenience. Many compete only on price, and each model follows its own economic rules. Take a budget gym. Walk inside and you'll notice something immediately. There are plenty of cardio machines, enough free weights, a clean environment, but very few extras. No swimming pool, no basketball court, no spa, no expensive lounge, no towel service. Everything unnecessary has been removed. Why? Because every extra service costs money. A swimming pool requires constant maintenance, water treatment, heating, lifeguards in some regions, additional insurance, higher utility bills. Luxury locker rooms require premium materials. Saunas consume huge amounts of electricity. Steam rooms require specialized maintenance. Massage areas need additional staff. Every premium feature increases operating costs. Budget gyms understand something incredibly important. Most customers don't actually use every amenity. They simply want a clean place to exercise. So instead of spending millions creating luxury, budget chains invest in efficiency. Fewer employees, simpler layouts, standardized equipment, self-service check-in, automated billing. Everything is designed to reduce operating costs. Lower costs mean lower membership prices. Lower prices attract more customers. More customers create stable recurring revenue. It's a simple formula, but it works. Now, compare that to a luxury fitness club. The experience is completely different. The lobby feels like a five-star hotel. Fresh towels are waiting. The locker rooms resemble luxury spas. Personal assistants greet members by name. There are cafes serving healthy meals, recovery lounges, saunas, cold plunge pools, yoga studios, private coaching rooms. Everything feels exclusive. But exclusivity comes at a price. Luxury gyms don't need thousands of members. They need the right members. Customers who are willing to pay several times more every month. Different strategy, different audience, different economics. Neither model is automatically better. They simply solve different problems. Then came another competitor, one that almost nobody expected: home fitness. For decades, a gym had one unbeatable advantage. If you wanted professional equipment, you had to leave your house. That began to change. Adjustable dumbbells, compact home gyms, interactive exercise bikes, smart mirrors, virtual coaching, fitness apps. Suddenly, people could build surprisingly effective workout routines without ever driving to a gym. The pandemic accelerated this shift dramatically. Millions of people canceled memberships, not because they stopped exercising, but because they discovered alternatives. Some never returned. Others adopted hybrid routines: 3 workouts at home, 1 visit to the gym. This forced gym owners to ask an uncomfortable question. If people can work out anywhere, why should they choose us? The answer could no longer be equipment alone. Equipment was becoming a commodity. Community wasn't. People returned because of group classes, training partners, professional coaching, competition, accountability, human interaction. Ironically, as technology improved, the most valuable thing a gym could offer became something technology couldn't easily replace: real human connection. But there was still another revenue stream quietly becoming more important than monthly memberships. In fact, for many gyms, it wasn't the membership fee that generated the highest profits at all. It was something sold one conversation at a time: personal training. And that single service would completely change the economics of the fitness industry. Ask someone what a gym sells, and they'll probably give the same answer: memberships. It sounds obvious. After all, every advertisement promotes low monthly fees. Every billboard talks about joining. Every website encourages you to become a member. But here's the strange part. For many gyms, memberships are only the beginning. The real money often comes after you've already signed the contract. Imagine 2 members. Both pay exactly the same monthly fee. The first member comes 3 times a week, works out for an hour, then goes home. The second member also pays the same membership fee, but after a few weeks, they decide they need help. They hire a personal trainer. Suddenly, their value to the business changes completely. Instead of paying $40 or $50 a month, they may now spend hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars every year. One customer, 2 completely different revenue streams. This is why personal training has become one of the most profitable services inside many fitness clubs. A treadmill can only earn money through memberships. A personal trainer can generate revenue every single hour. Think about it. One trainer, 8 one-hour sessions a day, 5 days a week, 50 weeks a year. The numbers become surprisingly large, and unlike expensive gym equipment, A trainer doesn't require hundreds of thousands of dollars in upfront investment. They require knowledge, experience, communication, and trust. That last word, trust, is where everything changes. People rarely hire trainers because they don't know how to lift weights. Most already know the basics. What they struggle with is consistency. A trainer provides something machines never can: accountability. It's much harder to skip a workout when someone is waiting for you. That simple psychological difference is incredibly valuable. Many clients aren't paying for information, they're paying for commitment, for encouragement, for someone who notices when they disappear. That's why the best trainers often build long-term relationships with clients. Some continue working together for years, not because every workout is revolutionary, but because habits are difficult to maintain alone. Gym owners understand this perfectly, which is why many clubs invest heavily in building strong personal training teams. Some employ trainers directly. Others rent floor space to independent coaches. Some take a percentage of every session sold. Others charge monthly rental fees. Different business models, same objective: increase the lifetime value of every member. And personal training isn't the only upsell. Nutrition coaching, body composition scans, small group classes, recovery treatments, sports massage, supplement sales, branded clothing, protein shakes, healthy cafes. Every additional service shares one goal: generate more revenue from existing customers. Because acquiring a new member is expensive. Advertising costs money. Sales staff cost money. Promotions reduce profit. Keeping an existing customer is almost always cheaper. That's one of the oldest lessons in business. Retention is often more profitable than acquisition. But gyms face a unique challenge. Even loyal members eventually disappear. Some move away, some change jobs, others lose motivation. Some simply want a different environment. Every month, customers leave. That creates a constant hole in revenue, a hole that must be filled, again and again and again. This endless cycle explains why marketing never stops. You might think a successful gym eventually reaches a point where it can relax. It rarely does. Because every cancellation starts a countdown. How many new members must replace the ones who just left? The answer determines whether revenue grows or slowly begins to shrink. And nowhere is this battle more intense than during the first few weeks of a new year. For gym owners, January isn't just another month. It's the most important season of the entire year. Every business has a season. Retail stores have Christmas, tourism has summer, tax companies have April. But for gyms, everything revolves around one month: January. It happens every single year. The calendar changes. Fireworks fill the sky. Millions of people make the exact same promise. This year will be different. Lose weight, build muscle, live healthier, wake up earlier, run farther, eat better, exercise consistently. The fitness industry has heard these promises countless times, and every January, it prepares for them. Advertising budgets explode. Social media fills with transformation stories. Influencers post before and after photos. Discounts appear everywhere. Join today. No enrollment fee. First month free. Limited time offer. For consumers, these promotions feel generous. For gym owners, they're calculated investments, because they understand something about human psychology. Motivation has a deadline. The excitement of a new beginning doesn't last forever. Studies and industry data consistently show that gym attendance peaks during the first few weeks of January, before gradually declining as the year progresses. That pattern repeats again and again and again. Gym owners don't expect every new member to become a lifelong athlete. They expect something much more predictable. Some people will stay, many won't. The challenge isn't stopping people from quitting, it's making sure enough people remain. Imagine a gym signs up 1,000 new members in January. At first, It feels like a huge success. Revenue jumps. The parking lot is full. Classes sell out. Everyone celebrates. But then February arrives. Some members miss a workout, then another, a business trip, a family vacation, a busy week at work. The habit begins to disappear. By March, the crowd is noticeably smaller. By summer, many of those enthusiastic January members are gone. This is why experienced gym owners rarely judge success by how many memberships they sell. They focus on a completely different number: retention. How many members are still paying 6 months later? How many are still active after 1 year? Because long-term members create predictable cash flow. Predictable cash flow pays the bills. Predictable cash flow allows expansion. Predictable cash flow keeps investors confident. Everything depends on retention. And keeping members isn't easy. People become bored. They stop seeing progress. They get injured. They move. They change jobs. Life changes. The gym has to constantly give members a reason to come back. Some introduce new classes every month. Others invest in better equipment. Some organize fitness challenges. Others create online communities. The goal is always the same: turn motivation into habit. Because habits last much longer than inspiration. Yet even the best gyms know they cannot keep everyone. Which raises another question. If members are constantly leaving, how do the biggest fitness companies continue growing year after year? The answer isn't found inside the gym. It's found in something far more powerful: scale. And scale changes everything. Walk into almost any major city and you'll notice something interesting. Different neighborhoods, different people, different lifestyles. Yet somehow, the same gym brands keep appearing. Planet Fitness, Anytime Fitness, Snap Fitness, Pure Gym, Crunch, 24-Hour Fitness. It's tempting to think they're simply better managed, but that's only part of the story. Their biggest advantage has nothing to do with treadmills or dumbbells. It has everything to do with scale. Imagine you're the owner of a single independent gym. You decide it's time to replace 20 treadmills. You call a manufacturer. They give you a price. Now imagine you're one of the largest fitness chains in the world. Instead of buying 20 treadmills, you're buying 2,000 or 5,000. The conversation changes immediately. Manufacturers compete for your business. Prices fall. Maintenance contracts improve. Delivery becomes cheaper. Financing becomes easier. The same principle applies to almost everything: insurance, cleaning supplies, software, marketing, even toilet paper. Buying in massive quantities lowers the cost of every location. That may sound insignificant, but when your business operates hundreds or even thousands of gyms, saving just $1 per member every month can translate into millions of dollars every year. This is the power of economies of scale. It's one of the oldest advantages in business, and one of the hardest for small competitors to overcome. But the biggest chains have another weapon: brand recognition. Imagine you've just moved to a new city. You want to join a gym. You've never heard of the local fitness center, but you recognize a national brand you've seen on television. Without realizing it, your decision has already been influenced. People naturally trust names they recognize. That trust reduces the cost of acquiring new customers. Independent gyms have to introduce themselves. Large brands already have a reputation. Whether good or bad, people know who they are. That familiarity is incredibly valuable. Then there's technology. Developing a modern mobile app isn't cheap. Neither is building online booking systems, digital access cards, workout tracking, customer support platforms. A small gym may never recover those development costs. A global chain spreads them across millions of members. The cost per customer becomes tiny. Suddenly, technology becomes a competitive advantage. But perhaps the smartest strategy of all isn't expansion. It's franchising. Instead of building every gym themselves, many companies allow entrepreneurs to open locations under their brand. The local owner invests the money. pays the rent, hires the staff, manages daily operations. Meanwhile, the parent company collects franchise fees, royalties, technology fees, marketing contributions. They continue growing, without paying for every new building. It's an incredibly efficient business model, but franchising comes with risks. If one location provides poor service, customers don't blame the franchise owner. They blame the brand. Maintaining consistent quality across hundreds of independently owned gyms is one of the greatest challenges in the industry. That's why successful franchise systems create detailed operating manuals. Everything is standardized. Equipment placement, cleaning procedures, staff uniforms, customer greetings, even the music playlist. The goal isn't creativity, it's consistency. Walk into one location, and it should feel familiar. Walk into another location hundreds of miles away, and the experience should be almost identical. Customers appreciate predictability. Investors appreciate it even more. Because predictable businesses are easier to value, easier to finance, and easier to expand. This explains why investors often prefer large fitness chains over independent gyms. Not necessarily because they generate higher margins, but because their revenues are more predictable. Their risks are spread across many locations. One poorly performing gym doesn't threaten the entire company. A single location business doesn't have that luxury. One bad lease, one construction project nearby, one aggressive competitor, one unexpected economic downturn. Any of those events can put years of hard work at risk. The larger the network, the smaller the impact of any single problem. That's the hidden strength of scale. But then, something happened that no business plan had prepared for. Overnight, people stopped going to the gym. Not because they lost motivation, not because a competitor opened nearby, but because the world itself had come to a standstill. And the fitness industry would soon face the greatest crisis in its history. For decades, the gym business followed a familiar rhythm. January brought new members, spring brought cancellations, summer slowed down, autumn stabilized. Then the cycle repeated, year after year. Owners worried about competition, rental costs, equipment maintenance, marketing. But almost nobody imagined a future where gyms would simply close. Then 2020 arrived. Within weeks, governments around the world ordered fitness centers to shut their doors. The music stopped. The treadmills stopped. The weights remained untouched. Entire buildings that once buzzed with energy became silent. Yet something remarkable happened. The bills didn't stop. Rent was still due. Equipment loans still required payments. Insurance companies still expected premiums. Employees still needed salaries. Cash continued flowing out, while almost none was coming in. Many gym owners believed the closures would last only a few weeks. Then weeks became months. For businesses already operating on thin profit margins, every additional day mattered. Some owners used personal savings to survive. Others borrowed money. Many negotiated with landlords. Some sold equipment just to stay alive. Thousands of independent gyms never reopened. But while traditional gyms struggled, another part of the fitness industry exploded. Home fitness. People still wanted to exercise, they just couldn't leave home. Sales of dumbbells disappeared almost overnight. Adjustable weights sold out. Resistance bands became difficult to find. Exercise mats were back-ordered for months. Even simple pull-up bars became surprisingly expensive. Then came connected fitness. Smart exercise bikes, interactive treadmills, virtual coaching platforms, workout streaming services, fitness apps. Suddenly, your living room became your gym. For the first time, technology wasn't supporting the fitness industry. It was competing with it. Companies offering online workouts saw millions of new users. Personal trainers moved onto video calls. Yoga instructors streamed classes from their homes. Entire communities formed online. The definition of a gym began to change. Fitness no longer required a building. It required an internet connection. That realization frightened many traditional gym operators. If people could achieve their fitness goals at home, would they ever come back? The answer surprised everyone. When restrictions finally eased, people returned. Not all of them, but enough to reveal something important. People hadn't only missed exercise. They had missed each other, the conversations, the encouragement, the atmosphere, the feeling of working toward a goal alongside strangers. Fitness turned out to be more social than anyone had realized. Technology could deliver workouts, but it struggled to replace community. This forced gyms to rethink their purpose. No longer could they rely solely on rows of expensive machines. They had to create experiences, community events, group challenges, functional training zones, recovery spaces, nutrition coaching. Hybrid memberships combining in-person access with digital content. The gym of the future wouldn't simply compete with another gym. It would compete with every workout someone could do at home. That changed everything. Yet one question remained. If owning a gym had become more difficult than ever, why were investors still pouring billions of dollars into the fitness industry? What were they seeing that everyone else was missing? The gym would collapse. There wouldn't be enough lockers, not enough machines, not enough parking spaces. In fact, most gyms are physically incapable of serving all the people they sell memberships to. Imagine paying just $20 a month for a gym membership. It almost feels too cheap. Unlimited access, dozens of machines, locker rooms, air conditioning, free parking, sometimes even group classes. How can any business survive on so little? The answer is simple. Most of them don't rely on just one customer. They rely on millions. This is where the economics of the fitness industry become fascinating. Think about companies like Planet Fitness. Their goal isn't to create the most luxurious gym. Their goal is to create the most repeatable business model. Every location follows nearly the same blueprint, the same equipment, the same colors, the same membership plans, the same operating procedures. Once that formula works, it can be copied hundreds or even thousands of times. This creates something investors love: predictability, predictable revenue, predictable expenses, predictable growth. Wall Street has always rewarded businesses that can grow without constantly reinventing themselves. A successful gym chain isn't just selling memberships, it's selling a system. A machine designed to generate recurring revenue, month after month, year after year. And recurring revenue is incredibly valuable. Imagine two businesses. The first sells expensive fitness equipment. Customers buy once, then disappear. The second charges a small monthly fee. Customers keep paying for years. Which business would investors prefer? In most cases, the second one. Because predictable cash flow reduces uncertainty. Banks are more willing to lend money. Investors assign higher valuations. Expansion becomes easier. This is one reason subscription-based businesses have become so popular. Streaming services, software companies, cloud storage, music platforms, and gyms. They're all competing for the same thing: a place in your monthly budget. Once a payment becomes automatic, many people stop thinking about it. That tiny monthly charge quietly becomes part of everyday life. This psychological effect is surprisingly powerful. Canceling requires effort. Keeping the subscription requires doing nothing. Human beings often choose the easier option. Gym companies understand this better than almost anyone. But recurring revenue isn't enough. The largest fitness brands also invest heavily in data. Every swipe of a membership card tells a story. What time members arrive, which days are busiest, how long they stay, which equipment is most popular, which classes fill up first, how often members stop coming before canceling. All of that information has value, not because companies want to invade privacy, but because better decisions create better businesses. If data shows treadmills are always occupied, the next location buys more treadmills. If yoga classes consistently have waiting lists, the schedule expands. If attendance drops after 6 months, the marketing team creates campaigns to re-engage members before they cancel. Modern gyms aren't just fitness centers. They're data-driven businesses. Every decision is measured, tested, improved, again and again. This constant optimization creates another competitive advantage. The more locations a company operates, the more data it collects. The more data it collects, the smarter future decisions become. Success creates information. Information creates better decisions. Better decisions create even more success. It's a powerful cycle. One that small independent gyms often struggle to match. But even billion-dollar companies aren't immune to failure. History is filled with famous gym brands that expanded too quickly, borrowed too much money, or misunderstood what customers actually wanted. Some disappeared almost overnight. Others were forced into bankruptcy. Because in business, growth alone doesn't guarantee survival. Sometimes, growing too fast can be even more dangerous than not growing at all. And nowhere is that lesson clearer than in the rise and fall of some of the biggest names the fitness industry has ever seen. From the outside, growth looks exciting. More members, more locations, more employees, more revenue. Walk into 2 different gyms. They may have the same equipment, the same treadmills, the same dumbbells, the same squat racks, even the same monthly membership fee. Yet one feels alive, the other feels empty. Why? Because people don't just choose gyms, they choose environments. Think about your favorite coffee shop. You probably don't go there because they have the world's best coffee. You go because of how it makes you feel. Comfortable, welcome, familiar. Gyms work exactly the same way. A first-time visitor rarely remembers the brand of the treadmill, but they'll remember how the staff greeted them, whether they felt judged, whether the atmosphere was intimidating, whether they believed they belonged there. That feeling can determine whether someone stays for 5 years or never comes back after the first visit. This is something the biggest fitness companies discovered long ago. They're not simply selling access to equipment, they're selling identity. Planet Fitness became famous for promoting itself as a judgment-free zone. That wasn't just a marketing slogan, it was a business strategy. Because most people walking into a gym for the first time aren't professional athletes, they're beginners. They're nervous, they're self-conscious, they worry about looking out of shape. They worry about using machines incorrectly. They worry that everyone is watching them. In reality, most people are focused on their own workouts. But emotions don't always follow logic. Successful gyms understand this. That's why lighting matters. Music matters. The layout matters. Even the color of the walls matters. Everything influences how people feel. Luxury gyms create one type of emotion: premium, exclusive, sophisticated. Budget gyms create another: comfortable, accessible, stress-free. CrossFit boxes create something entirely different: competition, intensity, teamwork. Each environment attracts a different kind of customer. And once people find a community where they feel accepted, leaving becomes much harder. Friendships begin to form. Members recognize familiar faces. Workout partners push each other. Group classes become social events. For many people, the gym becomes more than a place to exercise. It becomes part of their daily routine, part of their identity. This creates one of the strongest forms of customer loyalty. Not because switching gyms is expensive, but because leaving means walking away from a community. Humans are social creatures. We naturally seek places where we feel connected. That's why some gyms organize competitions, charity events, running clubs, nutrition seminars, weekend hikes, member celebrations. At first glance, these activities don't appear profitable, but they strengthen relationships. And stronger relationships increase retention. Retention increases revenue. The economics are surprisingly simple. The emotional impact is enormous. Technology has begun supporting this strategy. Mobile apps now allow members to track progress, join challenges, share achievements, book classes, connect with coaches, even celebrate milestones. These digital tools aren't replacing the community. They're extending it beyond the walls of the gym. Today's fitness business operates in two worlds, the physical world and the digital one. The companies that combine both successfully create experiences competitors struggle to copy. But community alone doesn't explain everything, because while members focus on fitness, investors focus on numbers, return on investment, operating margins, cash flow, expansion opportunities. From Wall Street's perspective, a gym isn't a place filled with people exercising. It's an asset, one expected to generate reliable returns over many years. And that's where the story becomes even more interesting. Because the world's biggest investment firms aren't buying gyms. They're buying something much bigger. Investors applaud. The media celebrates. Everything appears to be moving in the right direction. But in business, growth can be surprisingly dangerous, especially when it's fueled by debt. Imagine owning one successful gym. Business is booming, members keep joining, cash flow is healthy. A bank offers you a loan. You should open another location. The numbers look convincing, so you do. The second gym performs well. Then comes a third, a fourth, a fifth. Each new location brings more revenue, but it also brings more obligations, more rent, more payroll, more equipment financing, more maintenance, more insurance. Suddenly, your business isn't just generating cash, it's consuming it. Expansion has a hidden cost. Every new gym requires a large upfront investment. Commercial fitness equipment, interior construction, locker rooms, electrical systems, air conditioning, marketing campaigns. Before the first member ever walks through the door, millions of dollars may already have been spent. That's why many gym chains rely heavily on borrowed money. Debt itself isn't the enemy. Used wisely, debt accelerates growth. But debt creates pressure. Monthly loan payments don't disappear during slow seasons. Banks still expect repayment. Interest continues to accumulate. Every new location becomes another financial responsibility. As long as memberships continue growing, everything works. But if growth slows, the entire system becomes fragile. History has shown this many times. Several well-known fitness brands expanded aggressively during years of strong demand. They signed long-term leases, purchased expensive equipment, opened dozens of new clubs. Everything looked successful. Until the economy changed. Consumer spending declined. Membership growth slowed. Some customers canceled. Others switched to cheaper alternatives. Revenue stopped increasing. Expenses didn't. The balance that once looked perfect quickly disappeared. This is one of the greatest risks in any subscription business. Fixed costs remain. Variable income changes. When enough customers leave, profit can disappear surprisingly fast. Some companies survive by cutting expenses. Others renegotiate leases. Some close underperforming locations. And some never recover. The pandemic exposed this weakness more clearly than ever. Even businesses that had looked financially healthy suddenly faced months with almost no income. Large debt payments became impossible to ignore. Several famous fitness companies entered bankruptcy protection. To many people, that sounded like failure. But bankruptcy isn't always the end. Sometimes, it's a way to reset, to reduce debt, to renegotiate contracts, to survive. Many businesses emerge stronger afterward. Others disappear completely. This reveals an uncomfortable truth. Being a famous brand doesn't guarantee financial strength. A busy gym doesn't guarantee profitability. A growing company doesn't guarantee long-term success. Revenue is only one side of the equation. Cash flow matters more. Because businesses don't fail when profits fall. They fail when they run out of cash. It's a lesson repeated across almost every industry: restaurants, airlines, hotels, retail, and gyms. The companies that survive aren't always the fastest growing. They're often the ones that manage risk the best. They expand carefully, keep healthy cash reserves, avoid unnecessary debt, and prepare for situations nobody expects. That discipline rarely makes headlines, but it keeps businesses alive. Still, even the strongest financial strategy cannot answer one fundamental question. What exactly makes someone choose one gym over another? The answer isn't always lower prices. It isn't always better equipment. Sometimes, the decision is driven by something much more personal, a feeling, a sense of belonging, a community. And that invisible asset has become one of the most valuable competitive advantages in the entire fitness industry. At first, that sounds like terrible business, but it's actually the foundation of the entire industry. Gyms don't make money because everyone works out. They make money because most people don't. This business model has a name. It's called capacity utilization. Think of an airline. An airplane only makes money if most seats are filled. A hotel only makes money if enough rooms are occupied. A gym works almost in reverse. It depends on selling access to far more people than can realistically use the facility at the same time. Why? Because human behavior is remarkably predictable. Every January, millions of people promise themselves the same thing. This is the year. They buy new shoes, new workout clothes, a new water bottle, and finally, a gym membership. For the first 2 weeks, attendance explodes, parking lots overflow, classes are fully booked, personal trainers are overwhelmed. Then something begins to happen. Work gets busy, motivation fades, muscles become sore, schedules change, excuses multiply. By February, the crowd starts shrinking. By March, many treadmills sit empty again. But something very important doesn't disappear: the monthly payment. This is one of the strangest economic realities in modern business. A gym doesn't lose revenue the moment someone stops exercising. As long as the membership remains active, the money keeps arriving, month after month. Some members continue paying for years without visiting more than a handful of times. It's easy to laugh at that, but psychologists have another explanation. Canceling a membership often feels like giving up on a future version of yourself. People aren't just paying for access to equipment, they're paying to preserve the possibility that one day they'll become healthier, stronger, more disciplined. That emotional attachment is incredibly powerful, and gym owners understand it better than almost anyone. But relying on inactive members creates another problem. What happens if people suddenly become consistent? What if every member actually showed up 3 or 4 times a week? The answer is simple. The business model breaks. Lines form everywhere. Members become frustrated. Equipment wears out faster. Staff costs increase. Customer satisfaction falls. Ironically, a gym filled with highly motivated members can be less profitable than one filled with occasional visitors. That sounds absurd, yet it reveals something much bigger. Fitness isn't just about exercise, it's also about probability, about predicting human habits, about understanding how long motivation lasts. The most successful gym owners don't simply manage equipment, they manage expectations. They study attendance patterns, seasonal behavior, cancellation rates, peak hours. Every decision is driven by one question: how many memberships can we sell without making the gym feel overcrowded? Finding that balance is incredibly difficult. Sell too few memberships, and fixed costs become overwhelming. Sell too many, and loyal customers begin leaving. Somewhere in between lies the sweet spot. A place where the gym appears busy enough to feel popular, but never so crowded that people stop coming. It's a delicate equation, and for decades, it has quietly generated billions of dollars around the world. But memberships are only one piece of the puzzle, because if membership fees were the only source of income, most gyms would barely survive. The real profits come from somewhere else. Most people see a gym as a place to exercise. Investors see something completely different. They see recurring cash flow, predictable demand, and an industry that continues to grow despite economic uncertainty. At first, that seems strange. Surely gyms suffer during recessions. After all, working out isn't a necessity. Or is it? History tells a more complicated story. During difficult economic times, some people cancel expensive luxury memberships, but many simply switch to cheaper alternatives. Instead of paying $250 a month for a premium fitness club, they join a budget gym for $20. The customer doesn't disappear, they migrate. This is why different segments of the fitness industry perform differently under economic pressure. Luxury brands focus on experience. Budget brands focus on accessibility. Both can succeed, but for very different reasons. Investors understand this. They don't ask, will people keep exercising? They ask, which business model survives changing consumer behavior? The answer often depends on flexibility. A company with multiple membership tiers can adapt. A company offering digital subscriptions can adapt. A company operating in several countries can spread risk. Diversification creates resilience. But another factor attracts investors even more: franchising. Imagine opening one gym. You spend millions, hire employees, purchase equipment, pay rent. Now imagine someone else pays for all of that, while you collect a percentage of their revenue. That's the beauty of a franchise system. The local entrepreneur assumes much of the operational risk. The parent company provides the brand, the operating system, marketing support, technology, training. Everyone shares in the success. This asset-light model allows companies to expand rapidly without owning every location themselves. It's one of the reasons some fitness brands have grown into global networks. Thousands of clubs, dozens of countries, millions of members. But investors aren't buying barbells, they're buying future earnings. Every membership represents expected revenue. Every new location increases long-term cash flow. Every improvement in member retention increases company value. On financial statements, these aren't emotional stories, they're measurable trends. Growth rate, operating margin, average revenue per member, customer lifetime value, return on invested capital. Behind every treadmill, there is a spreadsheet. And behind every successful fitness company, there are teams of analysts constantly asking the same question. How can one member become slightly more valuable? Not by charging outrageous prices, but by improving the entire experience. Better retention, better coaching, better technology, better engagement. Tiny improvements, repeated millions of times, become enormous businesses. This is exactly why private equity firms have become increasingly interested in the fitness industry. When they acquire a gym chain, their first instinct usually isn't to repaint the walls. It's to improve efficiency, negotiate supplier contracts, optimize staffing, upgrade technology, expand into new markets. Increase operational consistency. Every percentage point matters. Because in a company serving millions of members, a 1% improvement can mean tens of millions of dollars. That's the power of scale. But investors also know something else. No business grows forever. Every industry eventually reaches saturation, and when that happens, companies must find entirely new ways to grow. The fitness industry is approaching that moment. In many cities, there are already gyms on every corner. Finding new members becomes harder. Advertising becomes more expensive. Competition becomes more intense. So, where does future growth come from? The answer may not be inside the gym at all. It may come from wearable technology, artificial intelligence, personalized health data, and a future where fitness companies no longer measure success by how many people walk through the front door, but by how deeply they become part of everyday life.